elders. And if anyone's ever seen me read in a poetry event, they've probably heard me read this. But it's about my great-grandmother, and it says a lot about my relationship to her and to my family and to my history, my Vietnamese history in general. The isolating cruelty of the valley, with its breaking of the family, its thievery of tongues. I asked questions in English to fill the adjectives of her story. They found her in the evening, a body in the bathtub. It was purple outside. The color matched her face. She lives on in a language I cannot read, the smell of her trapped in the dust that solemnly sleeps at the edges of her letters. I imagine what ghosts exist in those pages, in the long haunting strokes of her ballpoint pen. This place is crazy. My grandchildren can't speak to me. They know nothing of me but my slow walk and wrinkled hands. I have no family with these freeways and separations. The world has come to an end. Or, I would trade in the skin on my bones for the seaweed forests of the ocean. Oh, to be a wave, to float silent above the deepest part of the Pacific, carrying my loved ones back home. I've grown into her body, a thickness in the waist, a heaviness in the breast, but I do not know her name. All I know is her black teeth in suicide, a tongue bitten off in the bathtub. With incense held tightly between my palms, I bow to her. Mot, hai, ba. The generations of wartime residue lodged like mines between us. In terms of social issues, I try to not write just to write, and I think even if I'm exploring myself and my personal experiences or things like that, I always make sure to connect them to broader social issues, and in order to kind of affect how people think about things like race and identity and oppression and how that actually works within our lives. Because I think for me it's always been really complicated. I mean, probably for a lot of people, but maybe because being biracial or queer and all those things. So yeah, and I feel like contemporary issues, I don't know, I've been I think I try to write about current issues, like the BP oil spill, has deeply affected me and the Vietnamese community in the Gulf, and I think something I'm trying to do more is put creative energy towards speaking about these things that are going on in the world. I feel like all of those things are challenges and also opportunities. I feel like there's so much to write about, and in my experience, it's been so hard to find writers, particularly women of color, queer women of color. I have found writers, and I know that they're out there, and I'm so grateful that they have become poets and I have their poetry to look to. But I think still it's hard to find myself in writing, and so it's kind of carving out space, but in doing that, and having that nothing to build off of. But there's just a lot of places I can go with it, and I think it's more of an opportunity. But I mean, in challenges, I think the biggest challenge for me has been sharing myself as a writer with my immediate family, with my blood family, because there's a lot of reasons. I think some things I talk about in my poetry, I don't talk about with them. And things get lost in translation too. Sometimes they're I don't really get your poetry if I share it with them. But what I label myself as, I definitely feel all of those things. I feel it's not enough to say one thing. It's not enough to say Vietnamese or queer or biracial or woman. But I think it's interesting. It's kind of these words are kind of challenging for me, but also I think it's really important to represent. And I think for me, particularly building my connection to a Vietnamese community has been really important, and being represented as like a Vietnamese writer has been really important, because I think it's important that people understand that Vietnamese doesn't look like one thing, or that Asian American doesn't look like one thing.